Hello, my name is METİN ARIDAŞIR. This is 30th part of explanation of my theory. Again, today, I will not mention formulas. Shortly, I will tell you meta sensation, perception, matter again, and I will tell you my atom model, ARIDAŞIR's atom model. Meta sensation, perception, matter, MSPM, includes whole bodies, things, objects in our subjective reality, and it transcends all of these existences physically through its absolute plenum, fullness. Meta sensation, perception, matter erases all of us in itself. We are only its complex motions which they encounter in itself. In it, I'm so sorry. Again, meta sensation, perception, matter, MSPM. Remember, it was empty page. I have found an empty page and I named it meta sensation, perception, matter, and then I have started to write. Okay. Remember that matter has no void and that there are intrinsic electron motion forms. Meta sensation, perception, matter, MSPM, includes whole bodies, things, objects in our subjective reality, and it transcends all of these existences physically through its absolute fullness, plenum. MSPM erases all of us in itself. We are only its complex motions which they encounter in it. If there were no intrinsic motion forms, this is meta sensation, perception, matter. Remember, here, free electron motion form, say, intrinsic motion form, okay, freely produce and propagate successive waves, or here, one electron, another electron-like. Okay, together they make joint cyclical motion, and from now on they don't produce and propagate successive waves. Here, say atom, atom-like, proton, proton type, proton-bounded electron, electrons, etc. Okay. Here, these motion forms, yes, if there were no intrinsic motion forms, intrinsic motions in MSPM, in meta sensation, perception, matter, we wouldn't exist. subjective reality wouldn't exist. If all kinds of electron motion forms were come together like this, so important. Connected, remember, coming together to make joint cyclical motion, and from that time on, from now on, here, say there are two electron motion forms. Freely, they are producing and propagating successive waves, but when they meet, say, connected, and they make, say, joint cyclical motion. From now on, they cannot produce and propagate successive waves. Remember, only by means of free electron motion forms successive waves. These successive waves affect bounded electron motion form, type electron motion form, then enlarge, and when successive waves vanish, shrinking, and while doing this, single wave pulse, it produces bounded electron motion form. Produces single wave pulse, only that time. But if there is no free electron motion form that produce and propagate effective successive waves, if there is no free electron motion form, bounded electron motion form stay only n equal one cycle, n equal one cycle, n equal one cycle, one cycle, one cycle, one cycle, one cycle, one cycle, one cycle, one cycle. Annihilation is that. Annihilation is that. Annihilation is to be that. Like this. In fact, there is no annihilation. Okay? They say electron and positron meet. Okay, and they annihilate themselves. Okay. Matter and antimatter, positron, electron. No. According to my theory and my formulas, there is no matter-antimatter duality. There is no positron and electron. Coincidentally, in coincidence, one electron down situation, another one up situation. In this condition, two of that come together, and this is in the same time, according to my theory and formulas, entanglement. In meta-sensation perception matter, intrinsic motion forms, electron motion forms or electron-like motion forms do that. Now, entanglement. Okay. If all kinds of electron motion forms were come together and managed to make joint cyclical motion tie-bound, there wouldn't be any free electron motion forms that produce and propagate successive waves. There wouldn't be subjective reality and any living species and any degree temperature or heat also. But this wouldn't mean the MSPM, meta-sensation perception matter, is motionless. Here, meta-sensation and perception matter. All kinds of free electron motion forms come together and bounded, and all of that have made cyclical joint motion now. If the universe were like that, all electron motion forms, if all free electron motion forms in meta-sensation perception matter, in universal reality, if all free electron motion forms come together, they were come together like this, bounded, there wouldn't be subjective reality, there wouldn't be heat, there wouldn't be any living species. This is absolute balance. This is absolute balance of universe. Imbalance creates us. Imbalance creates us. Here, absolute balance. Now, who can say there is nothing? There are endless, countless free electron motion forms here. And there are motions, cycle, cycle, cycle, cycle, cycle, but first cycle, not successive waves. No heat, no sun. We need free electron motion forms always. And we need these boundings also. We can create or increase the number of free electron motion forms by solving these bounds. We need we need to do that. We need the sun. We need suns. Okay. Free electron motion form. The source of rainbows. The source of subjective realities. Free electron motion forms. When they connected, if they were connected like this, there will be motion, there will be energy always, but at that time we wouldn't access any kind of subjective reality. Individuums cannot be accessed. Okay? Can you say this is annihilation? No. There are no electrons and positrons. There are no matter and antimatter. Free electron motion forms, intrinsic electron motion forms. Okay? This is the case of absolute. This is the case of absolute universe. In motion, but no subjective existence. Yes. There is no matter-antimatter duality. There is no annihilation. If I fill all emptiness of subjective reality, okay, if I fill all emptiness, voids of subjective reality, I meet the metasensation perception matter in the mind's eyes. We cannot see directly MSPM, and it is indivisible, but in fact, yes, ATOMOS means indivisible, but there are no metasensation perception matters as atoms. It is unique and single. It is metasensation perception matter. This is my atom, mean undivisible model. But there are no atoms, in fact, no atom. If I feel all emptiness of subjective reality, I meet the MSPM, metasensation perception matter, in the mind's eyes. I'm so sorry. Şu an görüşmem var efendim, kusura bakmayın. Yaklaşık 2 saat sonra beni arayabilirsiniz. Şu anda numaram aşağıda yazıyor tabelada. Çok özür dilerim. Oldu, iyi günler. I'm so sorry. Yes. If I feel all emptiness of subjective reality, I meet the MSPM in the mind's eyes. Metasensation perception matter cannot be plural. It is single and whole through eternity, because there is no nothing, or there is no emptiness. If we say everything comes from nothing, this means there is nothing, whereas there is no nothing. Because if there is nothing, anything can come from nothing. This is the old sentence. Nothing is born from nothing, whereas nothing can be born from nothing also. Probably, the nothing is the name of a mind product, prejudice, that makes drift us to the deadlock, that is born from void illusion. There are at least two universes. One represents metasensation perception matter as the universal reality. Another one is for all living species and interacting things, subjective reality, and the light is the bridge between these two realities. In the subjective reality trap, mankind never finds reality and never finds elementary particles by dividing it infinitesimally. There is no ATOMOS in subjective reality. Again, in the subjective reality trap, mankind never finds reality and never finds elementary particles by dividing it infinitesimally. There is no ATOMOS in subjective reality. For all constants in our subjective reality, intrinsic constants of MSPM, metasensation perception matter, are determinative. All kinds of energy in our subjective reality are different appearances of same energy which belongs to metasensation perception matter. All kinds of energy in our subjective reality are different appearances of same energy, which belongs to metasensation perception matter. We can use frequency, wavelength, wave velocity, wave energy, linear velocity, and angular velocity concepts for metasensation perception matter, etc. C, speed of light. Okay. We can use that. We can use frequency, wavelength, wave velocity, wave energy, linear velocity, and angular velocity concepts for metasensation perception matter, but we cannot use heat, temperature, mass, voltage, current, or density concepts for metasensation perception itself. Metasensation perception matter's intrinsic cyclical motion forms are determinative for all subjective reality phenomena. In accepted physics, energy is convertible to matter and vice versa. Per production is represented by energy converting to matter. No, energy cannot be convertible to matter. Why you cannot produce the pairs in empty space? Why you cannot produce the pairs in space? Probably two different electron-like motion forms meet, and in the reverse direction they connected and they made a joint cyclical motion. Then they stay in their first cycle and they didn't produce and propagated successive waves. Because of this, they don't see. Okay? Here. They met. Now connected, and they cannot produce and propagate successive waves. Single wave, unequal one, wave, single cycle. You cannot see that. You say that annihilation. No. They don't see. And you say, this is annihilation. There is no annihilation. Then, when you shine the relevant wavelength light wave on them, accidentally their tie or bound broke, and again each one starts to radiate successive waves. That you say energy converted to matter and electron-positron pairs created. You say this. Yes. Two electron motion form, according to my theory and formulas, met together and bounded. And from now on, they don't produce and propagate three successive waves. And you say, you don't see that, this is annihilation. And when you shy here somewhere, but there are something like that, but you say there is nothing. When you shine, not in space you cannot produce electron-positron pairs again. Yeah, you say. Now, yes, when you shine lower wavelength, three electron motion forms successive waves, break the connection, then they leave from each other and again propagating successive waves, and you say energy converted to matter and we create electron and positron again. No, this is wrong. I have told you again and again, according to my theory and my formulas. Yes, there is no annihilation. Then, when you shine the relevant wavelength light wave on them accidentally, their tie broke, and again each one starts to radiate successive waves. That you say energy converted to matter and electron positron pairs created. There are no pairs created from energy. They were there. Then you said there are entanglement and spooky action at a distance. Yes. Say, bounded 2 electron. This is one of, another one here. Okay. But they may elongating. Okay. Going on, n equal 1 cycle, n equal 1 cycle. Okay. Yes, distance. According to my theory, this is spooky at a distance. Spooky action at a distance is that, according to my theory and my formulas, enlarged bound of 2 electron or 2 electron-like form, distance, and when you, this is this direction, another one here. When you affect this direction, when this direction go down, naturally it will be upside, change its position. This is matter, sensation, perception, matter. These are connected, bounded, free electron motion forms. Okay, this is entanglement. According to my theory and my formulas, yes. There are no pairs created from energy, they were there. Then, you said there are entanglement and spooky action at a distance. Whereas, in matter, sensation, perception, matter, 2 electron-like motion forms without breaking their joint motion type.